What's up, guys? It's been a minute since I've been on YouTube, over a year now since I had my last video. I just want to share with you guys how I got better at painting portraits specifically. So let's get into that. All right, so one of the first things that I wanted to share with you guys is just where I started, or where I was when I decided that I wanted to get better at what I did, and a big change in style and how to develop one style was in 2016. I wanted to get better at painting portraits specifically, not just painting portraits the way I used to know it. I wanted to create a new style that represented something unique, that was abstract, that was also like messy, that wasn't so realistic like what I've done in the past. So in 2016, I decided to embark on a journey that would take me now like going on to 5 years, about pretty much just mastering the craft of a new style in portraiture work. And I've been working on it for the last 5 years. Number one, get your vision right, write it down, post it wherever you want to post it, in your phone, on post-it notes, or just have it in your mind all the time that this is what I'm set out to do, and I'm going to be really good at just that. Number two is researching how to get there, right? It's very complicated when you have almost no resources. Fortunately, nowadays, you could pretty much research anything online, right? So one of the first things I recommend is finding a mentor. A mentor can take you from here, from the beginning stage to the very end, in a very short amount of time. If you don't have a mentor, if you can't find one, you don't have any money, you can't afford classes, it's going to take a longer time because you're going to make mistakes in between, right? That's what I did. I made many mistakes. My style didn't develop. I didn't have a mentor, but I asked many other people if I could kind of be their assistant. I emailed people, hey, can I be your assistant? Can I watch how you do this? And I saw people and I was like, hey, I want to be just like you. How can I be your assistant? No one replied. And it's kind of just part of how it works. Not a lot of people have time to teach you, especially for free, right? So the fastest way to become really good at one thing is if you could find that person and go under their wing. Find that mentor and be their assistant, be their personal assistant. Pick up all their trash, do all their errands in return to get their information and experience. That experience is invaluable. Like, sometimes you can't buy that experience, so it's best to just go under someone's wing and learn it from them. So if you could do that, that's the quickest way. Now, if you can't do that, which most of us are going to have a hard time finding someone that's really good at their craft, and then you're just going to email and they respond to you, and now you're their assistant, they're going to teach you their ways. Most likely that's not going to happen. So here are some tips of what I did. Number one is I did research on Pinterest. Number two, I researched on Instagram and Google of artists that I saw that I've envisioned, like, oh, I want to be like them. And then I followed them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and watched them, how they do it. And try to find key factors of, ooh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I want from this artist, this is what I want from that artist. Or say you want to do something totally original that's never been done before. That's going to be really hard because sometimes you can't research that. So you got to do self-research, experimentation, and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Within research, you're going to find things that you like. And one thing that I do recommend is don't copy, but steal. Steal people's ideas and work. Put it into your own original work. Try to create something that's indistinguishable from everyone else. But they can tell that you took this from this person, you took this from this artist, you took that idea from this person. But don't steal their entire work. No, it's very shameful, right? So don't do that. Just try to create, I guess, an identity with you and your work where it's indistinguishable and everyone knows that's your work. When I look at it, that's yours, no one else's. Now there might be bits and clues of, oh, that you got that from this person, you got that from that person, that's okay. But as long as it's different and no one says, oh, you copied it. And it's okay to copy when you first do it to understand how to create a style. That's what I first did. I'm like, oh, I like this person, I'm gonna try to mimic them. And then it evolves into your own thing. And if it doesn't, experiment. Try new things, try new mediums, try different brushes, try new things that will create your own identity within your own art. Number 3, we're gonna work with execution. Probably the hardest thing you're gonna have to do. This is going to be the hardest out of all the things that I'm going to tell you. So execution is probably everything, if you ask me. And the way I did it was, when I first started, I said, okay, I want to paint like this. 2016, these were my paintings. And I had this idea in my mind that I was gonna paint the background like this. I was gonna paint bigger in scale. I was gonna record everything, put on my GoPro, put on my SLR, put on my iPhone, splash paintings, different colors, wild colors, and then trying to just understand how things work, right? And then I realized, like, I was okay in the beginning, and then there'll be these, like, you'll go at it and then you'll plateau. Like, I'll be like, ooh, I'm getting better, new style, and then just stick there, master that part, right? And then, like, the goal is to get up here. So you're constantly gonna go like this, up, and then plateau, and then go up, and then plateau, up and plateau, until you meet that sweet spot where you're like, ooh, I finally found out how to do the first technique, right? Then master that technique. Then you're gonna move on to the next big thing, is where, okay, I copied some guy's style, I look just like this, I could do it. And where do you go now? Like, be original. Be original. Don't be like everybody else. There's a famous quote, it's be yourself, everyone is taken. So, same thing with your art. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. Don't copy people, right? Or borrow, steal, and implement your own ideas and concepts into your own artwork. Be original, right? And that's what I was trying to do in the last 5 years, is develop something where I could come up with original ideas and concepts with the eyes, the lips, the skin texture, the paintbrush strokes, the background, the size of the canvases, I just did it all, man. I did it through commission work, I did it through paintings for friends, I did it for myself. I would just paint and see if, and then I would even try different mediums and try to paint the same way. So number 4 is photographing your work, videotaping your work, and also writing down progress. Years ago, I used to be into like self-help, and there was this guy, I forget the guy's name, and he talked about something called the after action report. These generals would go into war, come back, and have to write something called the after action report. And this report was 3 things: what they did good, what they did bad, and what they could do better. So at the end of the year, I would look at my artwork and I would look at things and be like, am I on track to where I want to be? Did I get better? What did I do wrong? And how could I be better, right? So there are certain things that I did personally that worked for me. Was number 1, when you photograph things, you can see in detail your artwork. That goes beyond just your eyes. You know, you can see it from, what I do is like to take a far shot, a medium shot, and then a close-up shot of my work. So you can see things, how things are moving, because the eye it has different perspectives. When you're looking at something from afar, something a medium, and then really up close, you can see all the details, especially with my work. When you look at it far, you see a face, you go up to a medium size, like, oh, it looks a little different. Then you go up close, it's really different, right? You see all this patchwork that you couldn't see from afar. You could see like bits and pieces of it, then you go up close and you're like, whoa, that's different. So the reason why you should photograph and videotape your work like in a time lapse is that you can always go back and look at the progress from beginning to end, and you can see what you did right what you did wrong and how you could be better. That's when the after action report helps out a lot. So what I did was I would look at my time lapse, right? And say it took me, or I condensed the film down to 10 minutes, right? At minute 8, usually before the painting is done is when the painting looks great. So the last 2 minutes of the time lapse, I'd be like, what did I do wrong? And what I noticed is that I was taking paintings too far, just putting too much more extra shit I didn't even need. I was just like, oh, let me add more of this, more of that, and then be like, oh, that's too much. And sometimes you need to follow the rule of KISS. It means keep it simple, stupid. Sometimes you just gotta be more simple. Don't go so crazy with it. So I would watch my time lapses at the end of the year, like, ooh, let me look at this one. Okay, actually at minute 5, it looked the best because after 5 minutes, I was doing too much. Or you would look at your footage and at the end of the film, be like, you know what? I could put more in there, but not go overboard. Now, this also encapsulates the third part, which was execution. In order to be great at something, when I say take the leap, sometimes you gotta take your paintings further than what you thought. Like when you think you're done, you could always go further. You can. You know why? Because you could paint it white and then go back, right? But you can't go forward if you've never gone forward. So you got to take that leap. So what I tell people is sometimes when you videotape things, go further. It's just a painting. You can paint it again. Paint it white, go back again. So what I do with my paintings is I take it as far as I can. And when you say you're done, I take it even further, then even further, and then I watch the tape. And I'm like, I know where I messed up. I know where I could be better. And I used to do mixed martial arts, which I still kind of do. I train every now and then, but I do mainly sparring and drilling. And if you ever study fighters, they watch tape of their opponents, right? To learn where they can defeat them. But they also watch tape of themselves, where they could be better, or where they messed up, or what caused them to lose the fight. Same approach that I take. I watch the tape and I say, oh, this is where I could be better at. Because at minute 3, I noticed of the time lapse, I noticed that the background was actually great until I added all this other shit. Or the colors were good until I added this color, right? So that's what I was doing. I would watch tape of myself and do my own research on me, which I suggest to you guys is do the research on yourself. And this is when it's critical to take photos and videos and write your after action report of what was good, what was bad, and what you could do better. The last one is mastering your craft, whatever you're doing, right? Don't move on to something new until you've mastered it. I'm still in the painting stage of the same style. I've been 5 years in, right? Part of mastering that craft is staying focused. Now, if you're a Renaissance man like me, what you do is you take on 5 crafts and you just keep sharpening that saw. Just sharpening it. Every time you go to work, every time I go to my machine and I'm sewing away, I'm trying to master that bag, master that design, what I'm doing. When I'm painting, I'm trying to master that shit. I'm trying to be the best at what I could do, right? So I'm always going back, reviewing tape, writing in my journal, after action report, trying to master it and fine tune it to the point where I want it, where I'm satisfied. Then when I'm satisfied, I turn it up another notch. I'm like, I can even be better at this. I can make it better, innovate. Think of ways that you could be even more original. Sometimes you just want to mimic an artist, but like in watercolor, there's not too many watercolor artists out there. You see this watercolor artist and you're like, boom, I got it. I can paint just like this watercolor artist. Now where do I go? This is where you elevate to the next level, mastering your craft. Now, your original goal was to be just like this artist. You're like this artist now. But this is the difference between the amateur and the master, right? The master is always sharpening, always getting better. Even at the peak of their prime, always getting better. It's a lifetime goal. I think I've gotten way better at where I'm at. I'm not at the peak or prime of my art. So what I always do at the end of the year is look at my arm and be like, okay, I still need to get better. So what I did last year is I had an art show and I showed my work to my peers, to the public, to other artists. They spoke to me. We had conversations. I did live painting. I was able to discuss things that I would not normally get to do in a setting like my art studio. And that feedback helped out a lot. It shouldn't overpower your own research and what you think, but you should take it into consideration, because sometimes you'll get a lot of shitty advice from someone who's not even a fucking artist, right? We get this all the time. Oh, you should do this. I'm like, what the fuck do you know about art, right? Always do your own research. Maybe someone says, hey man, maybe you should use red. Look at your painting. When you go home, be like, I wonder if red would look good on it. Then see if red is better. If it's not, then be like, why the fuck did I listen to that guy? Those are the 5 steps that I took that I believe that you guys should take into consideration when you're trying to be better at any craft, but specifically painting. That's what I did. Is I host a show, I would post it and try to figure out where I can get better at. And then always remember, this is a long game of getting better. So remember to always stick with your focus, always get better and evolve. Maybe your focus needs to change. Maybe the focus is you've already got it. Maybe you need to get better. Remember, it's always evolving to become better. So at the end, it's always trying to be better at whatever you do. Hope you guys liked this episode with me sharing my experiences with my progress with my art. I definitely want to show you guys in the future my progress with the bags that I make, with sewing, how I took it on. There's so many things I want to share, and I want to come up with more videos every week to show you the progress that I'm working on. So if this was beneficial to you and it helped out a lot, or if this does help you in the future, write down in the comments, share, tell me what you think. And you could also share like your experiences and what helped you. Maybe I could feed off of you and tell me what you think about the videos that I make, and what I can talk about in the future. What do you guys want to know about me as an artist, me as becoming a Renaissance man, me doing many different things? Write in the comments below. Like this, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys on my next episode. Peace.